Hello, in today's video we will be identifying ions by doing chemical tests and finding out ions in the unknown for a single ionic compound. In order to do that, we'll be looking at flame test and sulphate test. This is a required practical 7 for the AQA exam board. You will see once you're doing past papers that they ask you how to do a flame test for 6 marks. Here I demonstrated that by 3 different diagrams. So first of all, you will get a nickel wire which has a loop at the back of it, and you'll clean the nickel wire in hydrochloric acid, and this is to make sure there is no color on the wire itself, so it's not contaminated or anything. Once you clean the wire, you can dry it, and then you can use it to pick up a small sample of the unknown ionic compound you're trying to test. You place the wire with the sample in the blue roaring flame, and then you write down the color you see. You will then repeat back to step 1, where you will clean the wire before you do the next metal testing again. When we put the metal in the blue flame, what colors do we get? If we get lithium as a metal ion, then we're looking at crimson. Sodium will give you yellow. Potassium gives you lilac flame. Calcium gives you a brick red or orangey flame, and copper gives you a green flame. The reason why you're getting these flames are because when you start with the metal ion and you heat it, you're then promoting it from the ground state into an excited state. When the metal returns back to its ground state, it releases different color lights as an energy. Hence you see different wavelengths of colors for different metals. Now we're going to look at a non-metal ion carbonate test. So these PowerPoint is all about the tests for all the different ions that you will have to do at GCSE. I know for AQA this is practical 7, but it applies to all the exam boards. So how do we test for a carbonate ion? If you start with the calcium carbonate in a boiling tube, you will then add hydrochloric acid, but before you add the hydrochloric acid, you will have another boiling tube with lime water in it, and this here is called the delivery tube. The delivery tube needs to be long enough that it sits inside the lime water, otherwise you'll get backflow. So once you set this apparatus as it shows, you then add the hydrochloric acid. What you will notice is the hydrochloric acid will be reacting with the calcium carbonate, and you will see bubbles and effervescence being produced. Equally, the carbon dioxide gas will be released, and as it comes down the delivery tube here, will turn the lime water cloudy or milky, which is the test for carbon dioxide, also showing that carbonate has been broken down to give you the carbon dioxide gas as shown in this balanced equation. The next non-metal ion we're looking at is sulphate test, another popular test in the exam. You will start with magnesium sulphate solution in a test tube, and what you're going to do is add small amount of barium chloride solution to the magnesium sulphate, and what it will do, it will dissolve the sulphate ions in the hydrochloric acid, and you will make a milky white precipitate of barium sulphate, which shows the presence of the sulphate ion. This is also demonstrated in this diagram. This time we're looking at the Halide test, another really popular test for your exams, and we're going to look at chlorine, bromine and iodine ions, Cl-, Br- and I. These are all in the ion format, and you will have in a salt. The main ion that takes part in the silver nitrate is Ag+ ion. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with the salt, for example, sodium chloride. You're going to add silver nitrate, and you're going to add nitric acid. The reason why you're adding nitric acid is to make sure no other precipitate is formed apart from the chloride precipitate in this format, bromine and iodine precipitates. And then once you've done the reaction where you got your sodium chloride in presence of silver nitrate and nitric acid, you will get a white precipitate, and same for bromine, you'll get a cream precipitate, and then for silver you get nitrate and nitric acid. In iodine you get a yellow precipitate. Now you will notice in the exam they'll ask you to write ionic equation, and the ionic equation will be Ag+ plus Cl- arrow AgCl. In this one, same principle, Ag plus Br minus gives you AgBr. And finally, for this ionic equation, Ag plus I minus will give you AgI solid. So they all give you solid precipitates.